Karasu Tabito is a player in Blue Lock introduced at the end of the second selection, being a member of the third team to pass. He now holds the spot of the best defensive midfielder in the series, along with being the best possible contender for future captain of the new U20 team. At least, that's what some people say. If you really take a minute to think about Karasu, you'll understand that he's an absolutely overrated player who's outclassed in every single one of his weapons. And hopefully by the end of the video, you'll realize that too. Because in this new series, I'll be going over Blue Lock characters and explaining my argument for whether they are overrated or underrated. So given the name, welcome to Blue Lock. Overrated or underrated? Before I begin, I want to remind you guys that I do have a Discord server where you can discuss all things Blue Lock, post your theories or debates, as well as display artwork and request specific video ideas. If you are interested in joining, you can click the link at the top of the description to join and become a part of the community. And like all of my videos, spoilers for the Blue Lock manga up to chapter 271, and if you aren't caught up to that point in the story, I would suggest clicking off this video right now because there will be spoilers. Now the first thing that we need to address is everything that Karasu has done in the Blue Lock series, that way we get an idea of his feats and abilities. To begin, we're not actually starting on the main Blue Lock storyline, nor are we starting on the episode Nagi storyline. We're actually going to be taking a look at the Hiyori light novel. Due to some chapters of the main story, we learn that Hiyori and Karasu played on the same high school team, which allows us to get some prior Blue Lock feats. According to Hiyori's analysis of Karasu in chapter 4, his tactical eye and long arms provide him with incredible ball keeping ability. His high game IQ allows for him to analyze an opponent's strengths and weaknesses to ensure he's able to extort the situation into a favorable one. Hiyori also analyzed that it appeared from his perspective that Karasu had virtually no weaknesses when it came to playstyle or weapons, saying how making an enemy of Karasu would result in a difficult time when playing. Now let's take a jump into the manga, specifically the episode Nagi's side story, where we see Karasu in the 4v4 match against Nagi's team. We see that with even limited intervention, he was able to throw off Burū's shooting angle, allowing for Kiyoru to intercept the ball before it entered the net. Karasu was also able to intercept the pass from Chigure using Shimizu to force him to release possession. However, he wasn't able to stop Nagi from stealing the ball from him and scoring with his new technique, the hand spin breakdance shot. Karasu was, however, able to use his assassin style to break past Nagi by throwing off his center of gravity and using his hands to keep him from regaining a comfortable position. However, right now that's all we know about Karasu in the second selection, as the episode Nagi's side story is only up to that point in the story as of me making this video. Heading into the main storyline, we learn of Karasu being the third placer in relation to plays made in the second selection. We continue by seeing Karasu perform in the third selection against Team A, consisting of Rin, Shido, Isagi, Hiyori, and Nanase. Using his assassin style, he was able to break past Shido and Isagi together in the third selection, as well as score at least 5 total goals. Aside from this first game against Team A, he really has no third selection feats. Going into the U20 match, Karasu was selected as the defensive midfielder for the team due to him possessing the best ball keeping ability in the project, as well as having a tactical mindset that lets him create plans towards goals. He was officially designated as the beating heart of the Blue Lock 11. Starting with these U20 feats, in chapter 119, Karasu was able to fully grasp the U20's defensive strategy when it came to stopping opponents. His plan to create link-ups with Atoya and Chigure allowed for them to momentarily break through the U20 defense, however his plan had failed due to size interference. In chapter 129, he was able to link up with Hiyori to receive quick passes, allowing for them to slowly break through the opponents, allowing for Hiyori to make an uncontested pass towards the offensive players. In chapter 136, Karasu assists Isagi in getting to an opportune spot to score a goal by linking up with both him and Nagi. In chapter 139, Karasu along with Burū attempted to stop a second gear Sai, however they were unsuccessful. In chapter 142, he attempts to stop Sai again along with Yukimiya, but they, like last time, also fail. In chapter 143, it may go unnoticed, but Karasu was restricting Hayate's movements during the corner kick. In chapter 146, Karasu goes to intercept Sai and stall for the Blue Lock 11, but Rin in his flow state beats him to the matchup. Going into the NEL, the first showing of Karasu in this arc is in chapter 244, where we see Karasu supporting Shido along with Zantetsu. We see in chapter 246 that Karasu's current NEL bid is 35 million yen, placing him in 15th on the charts. Going into the PXG vs Bachelor Mention match, Karasu intercepted the 1-2 pass between Kaiser and Ness in chapter 249. In the following chapter, Karasu along with Narase and Rin were able to stop Kaiser from shooting. In chapter 256, Karasu gains possession and is able to keep Kyor from stealing the ball before sending a pass to Charles. In that same chapter, Karasu along with Zantetsu and Narase pressure Hiyori to stop him from passing, however they fail. In chapter 256, Karasu and Tokimitsu pressure Kaiser into missing his Magnus shot. In chapter 263, Karasu pressures Isagi in an attempt to steal the ball, however Isagi Isagi manages to pass it before he can steal it. And in chapter 264, Karasu and Rin double team Kaiser to steal the ball. And so far that is all of the confirmed feats that Karasu has in the story as of right now. Now prior to everything I'm going to say, I just want to make it known now that I don't actually think that Karasu is a bad player. Obviously Karasu is decent in his own ways and better than other characters in other ways. However, I don't really understand the hype for this character given everything that we know about him. If I'm being honest, the only reason that this video is actually coming out is because I had made a TikTok giving my take on Karasu and not a lot of people agreed with it. So basically I'm just going to be taking the most popular arguments from that comment section and basically debunking them all and explaining why Karasu is incredibly overrated. The first general remark is that Karasu is the best defensive midfielder that we've seen in the series, which I don't even know how that's true considering that Kunigami has been a better defensive midfielder than Karasu has in this match. First off, when looking at Karasu's defensive wins on his own, he has a literal 0% win rate. Hey, so I did make one error when saying that Karasu has a 0% win rate. He actually does have one defensive win, and that was against Atoya in the match against Barcha, where he managed to steal the ball from Atoya. However, this feat in itself isn't really that impressive because once you notice Atoya, all of his weapons are pretty much useless, seen with him being easily stopped by Durai in the U20 match. And we don't know to the extent that Atoya has improved since the U20 match, so this feat isn't really that impressive. But yeah, so when I say 0% win rate, that's not entirely correct, but it's still a very, very low number. Okay, back to the main video. For someone who's considered to be the best defensive midfielder, it doesn't make a lot of sense given that his win rate in 1v1s on defense is incredibly low. During this match alone, the only true defensive feat that he has was an interception of Ness and Kaiser's 1-2 pass, which isn't very impressive. Considering 1, stealing a 1-2 pass between Kaiser and Ness isn't really that skilled since the link up is a very overused one, so it's really easy to read the passing route, and 2, after intercepting the pass, Karasu immediately lost possession thanks to Kunigami. All of Karasu's current defensive feats have been with another player assisting him, be it Nanase, Tokimitsu, or Rin. So as of now, he hasn't won a single one-on-one as a defensive midfielder. I mean, we see him losing to Isagi in a 1v1 where Isagi was able to successfully get a pass off while Karasu was pressing him. And even going back to the U20 match, he and Yukimiya failed to stop Sai, Karasu lost to Sai in a one-on-one, and he couldn't even rematch Sai because Rin beat him to the punch. So for someone who's credited to be the best defensive midfielder, he really doesn't have any defensive feats that weren't assisted by another player. Especially when Kaiser went to use his point style shot, considering Karasu was barely doing anything to stop him from shooting. The next common point is that he should be the next U20 captain, which doesn't make a lick of sense. Rin, Burū, Isagi, and Aiku are all way better suited for the captain position as opposed to Karasu. While he doesn't have a bad game IQ or mindset, those other 4 players are definitely better suited to the captain position as they all outclass him in relation to mindset and game IQ. I really don't get the foundation for that claim. What about him makes you think that he would be a really good captain? So far, I can't really figure it out. Is it because he's good at coming up with plans? Because so far, his plans have failed. His plan to score using Shigeri and Atoya in the U20 match failed. You could say that Karasu giving a backheel pass to Charles, allowing for Shido to score, was part of his plan. That whole event in this match doesn't really make sense given with how we know Metavision works. And with Isagi and Hiyori both using Metavision at 100%, doesn't make sense how they couldn't have seen that backheel pass happening. So that whole outcome was simply due to an inconsistency with Metavision. The next point that people make is that Karasu's role is important. If you can't see that, then you have no ball knowledge. So I understand that Karasu's role on the field is important, it's just that Karasu is not doing that role well. I've listed his defensive feats in this video, and the only time that he was actually successful on defense was when he was accompanied by another player. If you have to use third selection feats to argue that current Karasu is good, then he really can't be that good because you don't have any current feats to use. His weapons are his high game IQ with his tactical mindset and his insane ball keeping ability. However, when it comes to game IQ, Hiyori, Rin, and Isagi all surpass him. And when it comes to ball control or ball keeping, Isagi was able to maintain possession from Rin in his incomplete flow state, and Hiyori was able to maintain possession of the ball against Lorenzo and Nico, who is a Metavision user. Karasu's 2 strongest weapons are effectively weaker than other characters who can do the same thing as him, except these other characters can do more. Majority of the arguments being made in support of Karasu relate to either his third selection feats, insults about me not having any soccer knowledge, or just spouting some untrue stuff that's just not credible. Such as Karasu stopping Sai, which he didn't. Karasu had matched up against Sai 3 total times in the U20 match, and in every single one of those matchups, he lost every single time. I understand that it's Sai, arguably the best new Gen 11 that we've seen, but when you want to say that he stopped Sai when he didn't, doesn't make any sense. If anything, Karasu has better defensive feats in the second selection than he does right now. If you need to use second selection feats to say that current Karasu is good, that just proves he's either been doing absolutely nothing of worth this game, or he's still only as strong as he was in the second selection. Whichever argument you want to choose, both of them support my argument in saying that he's overrated. Another argument that people like to make is that he was able to make Hiyori struggle in the current match, which isn't nearly true. First off, when Karasu appears, Hiyori is in no way worried. Even when Karasu gets support from Zantetsu and Nanase, all three of them couldn't stop Hiyori from passing. So Karasu, with two other people, couldn't even stop one single player, being Hiyori, from passing to Isagi. But because of that, Karasu has unfortunately earned the title of Overrated in this first episode of Blue Lock, Overrated or Underrated. Hope you guys did enjoy this video and will leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Again, please remember that this video is about my opinion with evidence from the manga to support my opinion. Your opinion can be different than mine, and that's totally fine. As long as we can respect each other's opinions, that's all that matters. For the question of the video, which position in Blue Lock has the better players? The strikers, the midfielders, or the defenders? Leave me your thoughts down below. And like always, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe for more content just like this.